Hello and welcome to Inside a DJ. My name's Pete, and each and every week I'm here to help you through being a DJ. We're going to talk about what it's like to be a DJ, what it's like to entertain a crowd, what it's like to pack up the stuff at the end of the night, put it in your car and drive home on your own. Everything and more will be discussed in today's episode with our very special guest, Mr. Gary Bamford. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the show. Good afternoon, Mr. Gary Bamford.
Good afternoon, Mr. Sheriff. How are you?
I'm all right, mate. How are you doing?
I'm really good, thank you. Really good.
Now, we just must let the viewers and the listeners know, if you listen to the podcast or you're watching the video, that this is the third time that we've tried to record this. Yeah. And hopefully now we've ironed out all the snags and the creases, and we've got it, except the ones on my face, of course. We've got it sorted now, so I think we're done.
Yeah, I mean, I know we had to cancel one just because I get getting my hair in my eyes, but apart from that, yeah.
Yeah, it is a thing. That top knot that you've got there, mate, is working wonders for you now.
That's the one that's just pulling all my face closer so that the creases are all gone. That's what it is.
The thing is, there's going to be some people that are going to be looking at this going, what? Why are they negative?
I'll take that. I will take that. Yeah, I would take that. We could go fancy dress as a domino.
Yeah, absolutely. We could.
On wood.
Well, we're in danger of revisiting 1977 here, so let's be
careful. Let's not go that far. That bit could be edited out.
So how are you, mate? Are you well?
Yeah, I'm really good. Just doing a bit here and a bit there and keeping as busy as you can be, really. And slowly, the studio in the background, as you can see, is a little bit manic because it keeps getting broken down to take out on the road. And then put back together and things like that.
This is the thing, right? Now, and this might sound a little bit over the top, but I got to the point where I was sick to death of pulling things out. So what I did two things, right? I did one, I went and bought another load of cables. So I never have to take cables out of here again.
Yeah.
And two, now I don't take anything. If somebody wants something, I bought one of them, one of these things. The greatest invention.
Is that your battery powered one?
Oh my God, it is just amazing. It's a new mark, something or other. And but I just put a memory card in it. Job done. Everything I've ever owned is there. It's just awesome. So that never moves now because I was.
The difference is you've got a more understanding wife than me.
No. You've met my wife. No.
Your wife's a lovely lady.
No, yeah, but she's very scary when it comes to me buying shit. So, I'd
like to know any of the DJs that are watching in the comments below. Why do we always go for scary wives?
Right, we could do a whole show on this. Let me tell you. But now I'm going to ask you a question now, right? And we may be treading into very tricky territory here.
Yeah.
Are you on wife number 2 now?
I am, yes.
Now you see that. You see, you learn with wife number 1, with all the DJ scary foibles, right? And then you move on to wife number 2, and you know your limit. You know where you can go. There's a line there, which is if it costs more than 500 quid, you probably need to ask permission. Yeah. So let's leave that at that, shall we?
Yeah. No, I know exactly where you're coming from. When I was with wife number 1, we lived in a smaller house, and it was a lot more difficult to hide equipment. And it's like, I would.
Wait a minute.
Not that I would now.
You are me, and living exactly the same life in just a different part of the. What's happening?
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? Yeah. As I say, I'll take that. I'll take a mini P Sheriff. It's fine. I can handle that. Yeah, it's cool.
Okay, So look, yeah. Well, I had to get into the situation where I just got stuff and didn't move it because it was getting silly with the amount of times I moved stuff. I just couldn't cope with it anymore.
Yeah.
I said, right, for the sake of, I mean, realistically, I'm never going to take this. I might take the mixer out with me every now and again, but realistically, all I'm getting stressed about is cables.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And USB cables that go to the back of CDJs. And to be honest, the amount of times they get plugged in and plugged out, they get broken anyway. So leave them where they are and not mess with them.
Well, I'm your typical mobile DJ, and hopefully a lot of people will be like this. Otherwise, it's just me being a bit weird. But I've got cables for things that I haven't even got the plugs to plug them into anymore. Do you have a Bolgin leads? I've still got Bolgin leads.
Right. Who came up with those? And if you tell me it was James Bolgin, I will not be happy.
I have no idea. I have no idea who came up with those.
Were they not the weirdest connector? I'm going to try and bring them up in post. I'll add this in post because it'll look really cool.
Yeah.
But this is what we're talking about. The weirdest but most useful plug ever created.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't have that on your line, there was something wrong with that. You weren't a proper DJ unless you could figure out how to wire up one of them.
They were attached to a massive wooden box with loads of little pigmy bulbs in it. But you flash and make pigmy bulbs. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a couple of groups on Facebook where people put up kind of old school setups. And in fact, some people, even Sean Neal, our mutual friend, I know he loves a good old school setup. And they do look really good. And LED lighting is great, and LED lighting is nice and light, and it's more efficient and all that. But you can't beat a good old front box with 18 different bulbs in it, which made different triangles. And you can't beat it.
I have equal amounts of like and dislike for everything you've just said, because the days of, and the thing is, I used to go around when I very first started, and I mean, it was black and white then. But when I first started, I used to go around with a bloke called Tex, right? And he's a very lovely man. He's had an interesting life, bless him. And he got named Tex because he used to be in a what can only be described as a country and western. How can you describe it? It was like a reenactment, right, of like gunslinging. And he used to go around the social clubs and do this. And I don't know whether this is a thing or not, but this is how I got to know this guy. But he turned out to be a mobile DJ. Excuse me a second. He turned out to be a mobile DJ, and he taught me how to build a light box, and then wire up the plug and all, and like not a 3-pin plug, the bulging plug, and the cables and which colours went where and all that, and several electric shocks and exploding light bulbs later. I was good. However, I was always the one that wanted to paint the boxes, right? I never got proper stuff. So I'd always get like £3 worth of paint. There was always gloss. Right?
Yeah.
And within a week, there would be strips missing where you'd slid the light box on each side into your trailer and ripped off the side of the paint. But I have one story to tell with this. I got a gig at a place in Sale, right? It was at Liberties in Sale. Won Club of the Year a million times. And they kept ringing me. I was a mobile DJ at the time. I'd done a club for about 6 months. But they said, we want a mobile DJ. You're the man. We want you to come up there. Can you bring all your gear with you? I said, great. I've been driving about 3 weeks.
Right.
So I thought, this will be great. Long-term mission, long haul mission in the car. Brilliant. Hooked up the trailer, loaded the gear, had a Capri, right? A Capri gear, a red one, right? Loaded up the gear, girlfriend in the front, everything is cool. Set off from my mum and dad's house, did the journey, got about 3/4 of the way into Sale and was getting flashed. I thought, I'm going to get pulled over here. Pulled over, and there's some random guy. You know how people flash you and then drive past you to talk to you? I got out of the car thinking, Chee! I got out of the car, and this bloke pulled up next to me, and he went, you know your trailer door's open, right? I went, no. And so I've got, now bear in mind, this is like 1989, right? So I went back to the back of the trailer. Literally, there was one speaker left. Everything else had dropped out along the way. So I rang my dad, found a phone box, rang my dad and went, Dad, it's all gone pear-shaped. I've lost everything. I can't find anything. I've got one box of records that's in the boot of the car, and I've got a speaker that's left. And he went, okay, let me go see if I can find. Literally, my dad, from the back of our house all the way to the motorway, was picking up smashed bits of vinyl, light bulbs, bits of boxes. Yeah, man, that was one of my very first mobile gigs in Sale. Well, that never
it's like
really
the Winnie the Pooh thing. You were worried you weren't going to find your way home, so you just equivalent as crumbs. The only thing I could say about that is I did an event a couple of weeks ago, for a new company I'd never worked for before, and the guy who was running the event, possibly the poshest person I've ever met. He turned up. He'd got a Ranger similar to mine, but he'd got like the brand new version. It was like a 23 plate Raptor, and all his equipment, speakers, and everything he towed behind in a horse box. I thought that's possibly the poshest person that I know in this industry.
That is epically posh.
Yes, yeah. It was one of those where Yeah, that's not a horse box. It was one of those events where we turned up, and to set up, we had to take our shoes off before we went into the marquee. Because they had a bright pink carpet and they didn't want it to get dirty before the guests arrived.
Oh, sexy time.
Yeah, it was a good event. It was a good event. We put in far too much sound system. I mean, it was ear piercingly loud, and we were running 30%.
Wow.
I think, to be fair, if it had turned it up, we'd have been peeing people off in the next county. Proper sound system. Yeah, it was nice.
That's the quality. I love doing gigs for posh people, and that's not me being rude to anybody, but posh people gigs are a different level. Do you know what I mean? I think we spoke about this when we very first tried to record this. Remember that thing for the casino people we did?
Oh, in Soil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is the gig that kind of happened but then didn't. Right. Yeah. For me, it happened for you.
It happened. I had to do an extra half hour. You did nothing, and I did extra half hour.
I did nothing. I went, thanks, bye, guys. Yeah. Because, and this is a warning to all DJs. Now, I must say that we obviously, in the intro, I mentioned that, this is what we do. We talk about DJing, we talk about all these different things. And the beauty of having Gary on is we've had very similar experiences, although we now figured out that we look the same. But we've had very similar experiences in the DJ world, and it's good to get these off your chest. So, I've even forgot the point of what I was saying then. But I think the thing is, with posh people gigs, they either one of two things. They either one throws that much money at it that they do not realise what is happening.
Yeah.
Because they go, I'll spend loads of money. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah.
So everything.
Yeah.
Everything is going to go wrong if you spend that much money on it. You don't even know which way's up.
Yeah.
Or you get the posh people that micromanage the gigs that much that they literally screw it that tight down to the ground that you've got no flexibility whatsoever.
Yeah.
Now, that gig that me and you did in Solihull was both of those things at the same time, cancelling each other out.
Yeah, definitely.
because the people had paid that much money to have you and me there.
Yeah.
They didn't realise that one of us then went missing at the end of the night.
But they put on so much entertainment, and it was kind of like, we need to be diverse and cover everything. So we're going to have Caribbean belly dancers, and we're going to have Irish drummers, and we're going to have
doing clean ups. They're the guy doing.
Random footballer. Yeah. Yeah. And they knew for the fact that because the bar was in a different room, when they booked me, they actually said, we know that people are just going to get up and go straight to the bar. So can we have you to do like a video karaoke type thing in the bar to keep them interested? So they knew no one was going to stay in your room. And by the time they got you set up, everyone had gone.
So, all right, my opening record, which is on a gig like that, is always Basement Jack's Red Alert, right? Always, because it's middle of the road.
On this gig was also your closing record.
It was also my closing record. Now, the hilarious thing is, right, I started that record, did a good evening, ladies and gentlemen, whatever casino, well, let's not mention who it was, whatever casino it was. Thank you so much. Don't forget, there's karaoke in the other room with Gary Bamford, and there's drinks and this and that, and we'll be bringing out a buffet and this and that. Beautiful. Now, bearing in mind, these people have been sat at those tables since 9 o'clock in the morning, right? Yeah. It's now 7 o'clock. The lighting guy and the sound guy goes to me, this ain't going to work. Right. We've been with these people for 2 days and we know exactly what's going to happen. And towards the end, I get to the third verse of Red Alert. And one of them, because they'd all gone into the bar where you were, one of the people leant round the door and closed the door.
Yeah.
So they couldn't hear me. Oh, and the guy came over and went, I think you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I am.
Yeah. It's like, you start the event, hi, everybody, my name's P. Sheriff, bye.
Yeah, bye. Now, there you have the reason why I don't work on the high street anymore.
Yeah. Whereas from my point of view, it was quite a long room, and the bar was in one end, and I was in the other end. And I put in a really big setup, because yours was all provided because they'd used it all day. Yeah. Where I literally had a corner. They said, empty space, do what you do. So I'd put in a big screen, I'd put in monitor screens for the singer and everything like that, as well as doing video DJing. And I think we'd both been booked till midnight, if I remember rightly.
That's right, yeah, midnight.
I was really going for it, trying to get people involved and getting nothing back. I'd get a few kind of, who's that noisy thing in the corner? What are you doing? I want to be at the bar. That's all I want to be at the bar. And I would say 11:45, 20 to 12 maybe, was the first person who actually came over. Wow. Oh, I'll put my mate in to sing. Well, I know he's not going to sing, but all right, we'll give it a go. And surprisingly, he does, because you do get that on some karaoke's. They put their mate in and their mate don't want to know. And then it's like you're calling them and you just look like an idiot. He gets up and I don't think I'm being ungenerous by saying he couldn't have carried a tune if it had a handle. Honestly, it was awful. But it kind of, everybody else was like, I basically said, Lacey Young was the best we've had tonight if you think you can do better. And everybody else was like, well, I'll sound like Mariah Carey when I'm singing in the shower, or Robbie Williams or whatever, I'll go for it. And then they all started coming up. And then the organizer came over. It got to 12 o'clock, and the organizer came over, and they're like, "Do you mind playing a little bit longer?" And kind of, I felt a bit guilty, because I'd been there since about 6 or whatever, and spent most of the time leaning on the bar chatting with you. Not actually
standard practice.
Yeah. So I said, well, yeah, if the hotel's happy, and they said the hotel can go an extra half hour, and so I made a big thing. Oh, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we have to finish. But if we give the hotel a big cheer, perhaps they'll let us go on a bit. Like, I knew full well that they would let us go on a bit more. But it gets a bit of panto, doesn't it? You know what I mean? And ended up doing like another half hour, which again, singing-wise, were dreadful. They were all awful. For singers, they're amazing people that run these type of venues that I'm not going to mention because we don't want people to know who they are. But yeah, it was just the oddest thing, because I'm there and I'm kind of thinking, no one cares. No one cares. I put my head into you and you were packing up already. I'm like, wow, it's like genuinely no one cares. And then eventually when they got into it, it was great for the last half hour. But they just knew that's what it was going to be like. It was business, 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 food, drink excessive amounts in a very short time, then we'll have a party.
Yeah.
Perhaps if they'd started the event at 6 a.m, and they'd start perhaps time shifting it all. We'd have had a bit more fun. But yeah, it's very. But as you say, somebody would have sat down in a planning meeting, and said, "We're going to do this, we're going to do this, and everyone's going to do this." And people don't do as they're expected. People don't. They don't do what they're expected to.
Corporate money gigs like that one are like herding cats. You can give them an idea, but as soon as they've done the business end of what's supposed to happen, they don't care.
Yeah.
I did a gig once at a rather large hotel that, again, will remain nameless.
Yeah.
Where people play golf. Let's just put it like that. And it was their Christmas do. And sure enough, they sent me the running order, told me what time to be there and all that. And I looked at it and I was like, I know, look, by even looking at the first 5 minutes, I go, that ain't going to run on time. Purely and simply because, and I'm not wronging them, because it's part of the reason why I like to do these gigs, because they never get the timing right. They try, but they push that hard that they push it over the edge and end up making everything run late. If they just backed off a little bit and actually just said, well, we're thinking of doing this at 6, we're thinking of doing that at 7 and that at 9, fine. But you never, ever can tell a kitchen that they've got to serve, because the people that are doing this, the service people who are collecting plates and delivering stuff to people's tables, never, ever, ever clear the tables when you think they're going to clear them. Yeah. That will give you an extra 25, 30 minutes, which then on the other end then screws over the kitchen, who cannot prepare everything when they need to do it. So if people don't do this, if the starter overruns by 5 minutes, it's like when you're trying to prepare something and you move it slightly and it goes massive on the other end. That slight little adjustment will completely be catastrophic on the other end. So I'm there. I've gone. Now, all I've got to take is my thing, my mixed stream GoPro thing. Put that in, plugged it in. Microphones are all supplied, sound system, lighting, staging. There's a band on. It's all good. I'm turned up. I'm like that. This is going to be easy, because this is staff, and these lot can never get to party at any point.
Yeah.
Within the first 5 minutes, somebody slips over on the dance floor. So they'll have to call an ambulance. I'm like, okay. They're dead. So then they have the buffet, right?
Yeah.
So they're all, the whole thing about this, they're over their food, is the person that slipped over and has been carried off to the nearest hospital. The next thing that happens is the band go on and overrun by 15 minutes, right? So now the whole night is behind by about 45 minutes. I then start playing, I play background music first when the person slipped over. Then the band overrun. Then they do the food. Then I get to do my first proper set. 2 records in, which is 24K Magic, the fire alarm goes off. This is a staff party.
Yeah.
Everyone goes outside to the car park. Fire alarm's going off. No one can find who's pressed what button. No one can turn it off because the duty manager is actually pissed and gone with the person that fell over. So no one knows how to turn the fire alarm off. Eventually they come turn it off. Everyone goes back inside. Of course, you know what it's like trying to dry start a party. That has had several catastrophic incidents go on. What happened then? Oh yeah, so they then decide that they're gonna keep going with the party. I think they did a prize giving or something. They had to stop for some reason, for something else. Fire alarm goes off again, whilst they're trying to present whatever it is. But no one moves this time, because obviously now this is all staff from a really, really expensive hotel that do not move. They all sit where they're sat. Fire alarm's going, and they're trying to still give these things away while they present these things while the fire alarm's going off. No one moves. Eventually, the people who are managing the room for the night, which are people from another hotel in the chain, come and say, guys, you're going to have to leave the building because we need to check. I know you want to ignore it. We know it was a false alarm earlier. You're going to have to go. So everybody then pulls again outside. I'm looking at my watch now going, it appears to be 5 to 11. I've played 4 records, right? Then the band guy comes to me. I can't say which band it is. The band guy comes to me and goes, we got a second set, right? I'm going, what? He went, yeah. So we're supposed to be back on at 10 o'clock. It's now 10 past 11. I went, well, okay. I said, that's fine. You go on and do your set. Everybody comes back in the room. I then introduce the band for their second set, which I didn't think was happening. They come on, do a second set. At the end of the second set, just as they're coming to their last song, it's a big finish. The guy who's running the room comes to me and goes, yeah, that's it now. Can you say goodnight after this band gone on? Because we had that many things happen. We need to clear the building and we need to get this all sorted. I said, okay, cool. So I said, thanks very much, such and such a band. I nearly said it then. Thanks very much. Weren't they great? Yeah, brilliant. Everyone's looking at me and I go, well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us. We've got to finish now. I played Minder, as you do.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. And then they start booing me like it's my fault that we're finished. And I'm going, one of you people set the fire alarm off twice.
Yeah.
You didn't finish your starter in time. And now you're booing me because we got to finish. Thank you very much. Good night.
See, that's one thing for anyone who's not a DJ who's watching this. Anyone that's had a drink when they're in a club and the club finishes, please don't boo the DJ. I've had this situation quite a few times.
You're the licensing officer. Is this fault?
Exactly. I would always get a bit down about it. And then as we've spoken previously about my style of DJing, which is I treat every night as if it's my last gig I'm ever doing. I got a little bit feisty once. I was in a club in Northampton and great night, student night, finished at 3 o'clock. Ladies and gentlemen, been brilliant, catch you next time, etc., etc. And they start booing. One guy particularly loud. So I lean over the DJ box and point to him. Mate, come here. And he comes over. And I went, how's your night been? Have you had a good night? Oh, it's been brilliant, mate. It's been absolutely brilliant. I said, so why the F are you booing me then? What? I said, well, you've had a good night. I'm assuming my music has helped that. Yeah, you've been great. Why are you booing me then? And he's like, well, because you finished. I says, yeah, but that's not my fault. That's the licensing. So why? It turned out we worked in a bar. So
why is it always those people?
So by the end of the conversation, he was the most apologetic man you've ever heard in your life. But he didn't realise the effect that it has.
Yeah,
and it's the fact that it's like it's not my fault. I'm constricted by what I'm allowed to do with licensing with a nightclub by the manager, by somebody else. It's like we've had in the, if we're not mentioning names, in the famous holiday camp circuit that we work on. Yeah. I followed. It was my first time I ever did a big room, and a band had been on, very very big 80s band, and they'd had.
Was it Tapao?
It wasn't Tapao. No, it was Go West. They had just for them. They needed specifics for this desk, and when they finished, I started, ladies and gentlemen, Go West, brilliant. I started with Heaven is a Place on Earth by Belinda Carlisle. Whole crowd started singing it. The desk then decided, I don't want to work anymore. So the whole desk died, no sound. Now, from a punter point of view, it sounded like I'd played the Ooh Baby, Do You Know What That's Worth, and turned it down to let them sing. They all sang it, expected the song to crack in. Nothing happened, right? It turned out that there's, for technical people, there's various scenes you have on a mixing desk. One will be for the band, one will be for the DJ, one will be for different bands, etc. They changed scenes, and the desk didn't like it and shut itself down. I didn't know this. We all know Jay in Skegness, Scottish fella. He comes running over to me. We know what the problem is. don't worry. I'm in bits at this point because this is my first time of doing a big room at this venue. And everybody's like looking at me, where's the music gone, booing, etc. Right? Now, I have 2 decks. I have USBs. I also, you can see in the background, I keep an iPad as well. The iPad's got mixes on it. So I've got some 80s mixes, 90s mixes. So if anything goes wrong, I can play one of those. Gives me time to sort it out. Obviously, all the music's gone. I think it's something I've done. So I've started the other deck. I've started this deck. I've started the iPad going. I've started this. I'm pressing any button I can find. They come and tell me it's fine. They know what's happening. It felt like a lifetime. But eventually it comes back on. And I've got about 8 different music sources playing all at once. I eventually stop half of them and play the song. I pick the microphone up to tell the crowd, apologise what happened, say slight technical issue, we'll get going now. The microphone, it turns out, is on the scene for the band and not on the scene for the DJ, so it didn't work anyway.
Oh my God.
So I'm scrabbling around trying to find a normal plug-in mic. It's like, yeah, that was my first kind of, but the thing is, as I say, we're the target for it. It's not something that we've done wrong. If it is something we've done wrong, yeah, hands up. I pressed the wrong button, sorry. But it's an issue. Things like that happen. There's a lot that goes into it. But people just like, well, it's The
interesting thing about these, yes, we are jesting slightly with this, but there is an underlying theme to this that DJs of the world, don't take anything personally. We've gone through this. I'm quite happy if somebody else has screwed up. I'm quite happy to take the benefit from it. There's one, and you and I have spoke about this on the phone, so we'll definitely not say any names, right? But there's a guy DJing in a venue, gets to the end of the night, doorman, as doormen do, because doormen have, this is again where customers, DJs, and doormen, they don't do this, they do this.
Yeah.
Because they don't understand each other's worlds, right? And some may know, some may not. I'm really fortunate because I used to own a club. So I see it from everybody's point of view, which has had an impact on how I react to things. Because I would be the first person to do what this DJ did 20 years ago. So Dorman comes to him and says, gives him one of them, gives him one of these. Now, for those people listening to the podcast and can't see me, I pointed to my watch and did the cutthroat sign. Now, a normal reaction to that would be 2 fingers, go screw yourself.
Yeah.
But in the circumstance that this particular DJ was in, he didn't take kindly to it and then starts rowing with the doorman. What are you rowing with the doorman for? Because he's some Joey in a suit who's got a degree in pouring points has told him to come and tell you that we're done.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm the first person to go, thanks very much, good night, everybody.
Yeah.
And you start shouting at the doorman, calling him this, that, and the other, and then try and jump off the stage and start fighting with him. What are you doing?
Because the thing is as well, I mean, yeah, we have to deal with some difficult people, but doormen definitely deal with it more. So yeah, they're the first ones that want to be out the door, but understandably. And the thing is also, you want to keep them on side because when you get someone come and decide they want to have a pop at you, they're the guys that are going to sort it out.
The greatest mistake you can ever make as a DJ, other than playing things backwards, playing the wrong song, but whatever, is upset the people that you work with or for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do not do any of that. And I don't care how big a DJ you think you are and how many light boxes you've got and how many CDJs you think you it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Do not piss off the doorman, the managers. Punters are slightly different because we'll come on to them in a minute, but don't upset the doorman because, as you quite rightly say, when it goes off, you're right. DJs, pay attention to this because you're the person there with the most amount of money sat in front of you.
Yeah.
You've got
and the most amount of lights on you also.
Yeah, you've got, and you're the one. They don't remember there's probably 10. Can you name one doorman from a club you used to work in?
No.
Exactly.
And that's no disrespect to them, because they basically
exactly.
But
yeah, and they're not that.
Their name isn't on a flyer. If you're in a situation where you have got your name on a flyer,
you become public enemy number one, mate. If you're not paying attention and you're not playing the game, you will become public enemy number one. Especially days my heyday, as they call it, in clubs. There was no social media, so we had to actually do work for a living. But now, if you screw up in a club, look at all the TikTok videos and Facebook videos of people going up the wrong way on a high street in a car. That's bad. You screw up at a gig, it'll be all over social media before you even get home.
Yeah.
So don't upset the doorman. Don't upset the managers. Be polite. Just play the game. Because trust me, Gary and me, between us, have got a lot of years of experience. There's probably too many to mention. We're into the 60s. So let's just put it like that. If you add our two careers together, you're into the 60s.
Yeah, I'm millions still on my own, so that's the worrying thing. Yeah.
Which is quite scary, really, when you think about it.
Although what people may not know is that one of the first DJs I ever heard actually mixing that made me think, I want to do that, and we only found this out recently, was you.
Really?
Yeah, we had this conversation at one of these holiday camps that we work at a few moons ago. But you were working at was it the Dome, Birmingham Dome?
Oh yeah.
And I lived in a village, so we didn't frequent nightclubs very often. We had no shops. It was the kind of village where
two pubs and no shops. Is that what you did?
2 pubs and no shops. Yeah, 2 pubs and no. Still got 2 pubs and no shops. It was the kind of village where your Friday or Saturday night consisted of a pub crawl between both pubs, and if you were falling behind on the drinks, you just took it with you. And then once a week, the people who ran one pub would take all the glasses they got from the other pub back and swap them. Genuinely, yeah. I lived like 5 minutes from that village now. But so we would occasionally have like, it's like a Jolly Boys outing from Only Fools and Horses. We'd get like a minibus and go to Blackpool for the day. That would no doubt break down on the way home, and we'd end up sitting on a garage forecourt for many, many hours into Sunday morning. But we had a...
This is explaining so much about you, Gaz.
Yeah, I know. Not good, is it? Not good. But we had a few people got together and we went to the Dome in Birmingham.
Okay.
Actually, I don't remember what you were mixing it into, but I remember you dropping the rap from the beginning of Strike It Up by Black Box over the top of something. And it was either you or it was Al, one of the two of you were working, so we remember chatting about it. And that was one of the first times I'd actually heard someone doing that. And I could do that. I think I want to have a go at that.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's basically, I'm just saying it's all your fault. So,
there's one of the guys that I work on the radio with. Me and him, there's a very similar set of circumstances. I was working in Milton Keynes at the Empire in Milton Keynes.
Empire. Was that before it was Pink Flamingo or afterwards?
Afterwards. So I did it's Golden Flamingo first, and then it was Empire afterwards. And I'm fortunate enough to do both, right? So I went back there on a Thursday night and I did my thing, and it was 1998, I think it was. And everything was cool and just, carrying on. I forgot all about it. There is a story behind why I didn't stay there, but that's not one for any kind of public consumption, right? Not involving, well, yeah, it kind of involved me, but there was just a serious incident that happened outside, long way away from the venue, more towards the motorway, but it was linked to the venue. So it was decided after a couple of weeks of the publicity, I was not to go back there. So that was cool. But Pete Gibson, you know Pete Gibson, don't you?
Yeah, I know Pete, yeah.
Pete Gibson used to be a customer there, and he started DJing because he used to come on a Thursday and watch me play.
Yeah.
And which blows my mind to think that, you know, whether I influenced or put people off or encourage people or piss people off, one of them, in any way, shape or form, those performances, I'm just glad that people have seen them and remember them. Somebody came up to me the other day and went, "Oh yeah, I remember watching you in 1993. I'm going, where? They go, in Cannock. I go, okay. And they could tell me what records I was playing. I go, thanks.
This was pre-social media, not pre-internet, but the internet wasn't as prevalent, if that's the word, as it is now. So you weren't seeing the likes of David Guetta doing sets. You weren't seeing your Fatboy Slims on the internet all the time. And it was your local DJs that you were seeing all the time. It'd be a mix album would come out, or well, that was a bit later with the Cream albums and things like that. Or you'd hear Jeff Young and then Pete Tong doing their thing on radio. You'd hear your pirate set, but you did hear your local DJ doing it. And some of the things they used to do, you know, that's what kind of like, I mean, I through my career, I've flipped between.
I like flaps.
And flip-flopped between club DJing and mobiles. I'll get fed up of doing mobiles for a while and I'll go back to a club. I'll get fed up of doing a club and I'll go back to mobiles, and that kind of thing all the time. And I've always been a believer that I think that club DJs, you've got to do a couple of years on mobiles before they let you loose in a club.
Absolutely. Absolutely right.
In a club, if you're in a commercial dance club, the punters are coming, they know what they want. If you're in an urban club, they know what they want. Yeah. If you're doing mobiles, you're going to get everybody. You're going to get the 14, 15, 16-year-old kids who want to hear the latest tunes. You're going to get Granny that wants a waltz later on. You're going to get Granny who sits next to a speaker, complains it's too loud all night. And then when you respectfully say, why don't you sit somewhere else? They say, well, what
did you just sit at the front for, though?
Exactly. You're going to get everybody. And it's that skill of trying. You're never going to please everybody, but you've got to try.
You know the most important thing that I learned in that scenario is how to get from one genre to another.
Yeah.
That is the thing that I will take to the day I stop pressing play. I tend to press play a lot more now than I used to. But learning that craft of how to get from one genre to another without it sounding weird, and to keep a dance floor going is something that I kind of, if somebody was asked to ask me what my USP is, that would be it.
Yeah.
That would be my, if I had to write it down, that would be it. I can pretty much go from one genre to another without disrupting what's going on. And all that, as you quite rightly say, comes from dealing with mobile randomness, because you've got to, in a short space of time, 3 hours, 4 hours, 2 hours, whatever, you've got to be able to go through as many genres as possible and to keep those people, Uncle Dave, Auntie Sarah, and Weird Bob, who he's kind of related but not quite.
Yeah.
Keep all those people moving, and also stop them from getting agitated with each other, that they start fighting. Because what's the greatest mobile fight you've ever seen?
Oh, amazing! It was at Northampton Cobblers Football Ground.
Nice.
Christmas party. I was DJing in one room. There was a room with another DJ in the middle, and then the DJ at the other end. There was 3 on that night. It was using his equipment. It's when I first started, and it was an old. Do you remember the old turntables that had the wooden bits, the whole all in one unit? Mixer on the front, 2 decks, wooden bits inside. Okay,
Cytronic.
Yeah, Cytronic. Yeah, and I'd got a CDJ 500 when they first came out. I only got one of them on a stand. Anyway, there was a fella who it was a works do, and nobody liked this guy. He was very he was a bit of a show off. He was the first on the dance floor, and he's kicking, and he's just he's just peeing people off genuinely. You can just tell it. And throughout the night, there was this one big bloke in the corner, and he just sat there stewing. Point, stewing. Ends up, it gets to a point he's had enough. And he just walks over and he lands one on this bloke. And this bloke goes straight through the front of the console, straight through the light box. Now, luckily, the CD player I kind of managed to knock to one side, and I grabbed the handles of the wooden bits of the side and swung it out of the way. This bloke, I mean, I'm what would I have been? I'd only been early 20s. I hadn't been doing it that long, really. I've been doing it, but not that long professionally. And I'm not a fighter. I've never been a fighter. So I'm a bit like, oh, what do you do? Did that. And this bloke who lamped one on him, just literally one punch, went back and sat down, okay? Put the head back on, pick up the bits of the light box at the front, put it all together. I run down to the other end to the guy whose equipment it is. Someone's just gone through, okay, I'll come and sort it out. So I go back in, still playing music, keeping the party going as you do. And the owner of the business, who's this works party, comes over. He's standing in front of me to apologise what had gone on. He's really sorry, etc. I'm like, don't worry, it's fine. Speak to the guy I'm working for about any damage, etc. At which point, the guy that originally got lamped one has got back up. And he's like, what did you do that for? Bloke in the corner gets up again and does it again. But this time, rather than him going through the bit, he lands in the back of the boss, who's in front of me talking. So the boss then goes through the front of the equipment again. It's like that. And I remember, to this day, looking down. He's lying there on bits of broken light box, apologising to me after he's just gone through everything. And as a side note, the police turned up. It was a Saturday night, so there was a riot van and a couple of other guys. And I knew a guy used to work for HMV, so I knew a few of the police that used to come in the store. And one of them came over and he's like, what happened? I just said, some bloke lumped someone else. Obviously, you don't say anything, snitches get stitches. And he said, it's that guy over there. I said, yeah. I said, I didn't hear a name, but somebody called it. He said, oh yeah, did they call him Tank? I went, yeah. And he went, I'm glad we bought the riot van. Because it's obviously well known, this guy. But yeah, that would be my to be fair, I've not had that many incidents in clubs and venues, but that would be the one that always sticks in my mind.
Wow.
Yeah. I just felt sorry for the owner. I felt sorry for the owner as he's picking bits of light box out of his suit and everything. And he's apologising to me as he goes through the equipment. But
and I don't think, to the newer DJs that have managed to sit through all this nonsense, and you don't realise that a circumstance can escalate fairly quickly. And I'm not talking about in a dangerous way, but what I'm talking about is in a Keystone Cops, Benny Hill kind of way. Yeah. It can go very silly very quickly. Yeah. And you've got to be able to deal with that. I mean, one thing, and it is some sage Yoda type advice, right? And this will be my final thought for this particular show, because I think we could probably do this for the next 1,000 years and not go over the same subject twice.
Yeah.
But always check with the manager, the owner, the person running the gig. If there's a fight or an accident, what is the protocol? What do you want me to do? Because so many DJ, I've been in a gig where I've seen a DJ, fights kicked off on the dance floor. He's called the doorman, as you do, kept the record playing and just waited for instructions, right? That's probably the best thing to do. However, if you get a massive fight, don't turn the music off unless somebody tells you to. If somebody falls over and breaks
everyone's attention to what's
because everybody else now focuses on, and you will create the biggest brawl you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah.
Because I don't know whether you know this, but females like to scream when people get hit. And once one of them screams, it's like that thing in the it's like that thing in the 101 Dalmatians where and he goes, once one woman person screams, it affects everybody else. Oh, stop screaming! He's only punching his head in.
You need to also remain calm.
Yes.
I work in one venue where it was got a legend of this guy. He'd worked there a long time, and he liked to have a beer or two when he was working. Which is, I understand people like to have a beer or two, but you've got to stay in a position, because at the end of the day, if there's an emergency or something happens, you're the loudest person in that room.
People are relying on you as the voice of the venue.
Exactly. And this fella, there'd been a fight on the dance floor, and he'd called the doorman over, and they'd sorted it out, and off they went. And then there was another fight on the dance floor. So he'd had a couple, and rather than calling the doorman over, he just turned the music off and he went, "Here we go again." Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
All we're saying, and we'll leave you with this, check what the protocol is before you start the gig. If you've been there for a while, it's fine, you understand and you know. It's a new gig, or be friendly with the doorman, because again, what we've just spoke about, go round and round in a big circle. If it goes off and you're stood in the middle of it, or it's all directed at you, or it's by you, you're going to want them doormen to save you. So don't piss the doorman off. That's the end of story.
But also as well, if you sense that the dance floor is getting too rowdy, don't be afraid to change the tune.
But
don't be afraid to go to some. Don't be afraid to kill that dance floor, because at the end of the day, the manager, if he says, "Well, what's the dance floor?" I'll say, "Well, it's about to kick off." They will appreciate that more than having to pick up eyeballs after the end of the night.
Don't be afraid to govern your dance floor. Don't be afraid to guide it. If it's a bit tasty, don't start playing jump around. Yeah, it might give you a great reaction, but the intensity on that dance floor could end up being fatal for somebody. So you've got to, and we've jested and joked a lot on this show about various different circumstances, but you've got to be mindful of things can go wrong, and it doesn't matter how good of a DJ you are and how many CDJs you've got. Whether you use Denon or whether you use Serato or whether you use record box, if you're not paying attention to the dance floor and watching how people react with certain things, you shouldn't be there. Yeah. If you're not capable of just keeping an eye on those. I'm not saying you've got to, bring a security camera. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is be mindful that people who've had a drink can get very stupid.
Yeah. I mean, this is one thing that the older guys around, who we've learned this. When we started DJing, it was about taking people on a journey.
Sure. Yeah.
You had peaks and troughs. You deliberately not killed dance floors, because I've even had managers come over and say, "I want you to kill the dance floor because no one's buying any drinks."
Oh, totally. I do it at the jam house now all the time.
Yeah. But you take them on a journey, because you're never going to have them at 100 miles an hour the whole night. Because apart from anything, it wears people out. Whereas the problem you get now is it's a struggle taking people on a journey, because everyone's attention span seems to be a lot shorter.
That's TikTok, baby.
Yeah, everything's 30 seconds and everything's on demand. Which again, I think that's a discussion for another show. Well,
so everybody knows, we recorded a show once about that particular subject, about customers and guests wanting things now. But we couldn't put it out because the audio was not quite right. So we will redo that. We'll revisit that subject, because I think that's quite an important. Yes, we do joke a lot, but there is a serious side to what we're talking about. Why we're doing this is because there are circumstances where DJs don't know what to do. There are circumstances where DJs don't understand. And they get themselves into circumstances like who we were talking about earlier, starts round with the doorman at the end of the night and ends up being restrained by two other doormen. We're talking about these things because it's an issue, and we just want to help you. So yes, we'll take you on a journey. Yes, we'll have a few laughs, but there is a serious point to what we're trying to do here, and that is to get inside you, help you out, and try and unfog the bits, because there's people out there that want to be. I had somebody message me the other day, right, and said, I'm doing a kid's party. Now, this guy, he's not a DJ, right?
Yeah.
He's not a DJ. His dad used to be a DJ and left him all his equipment. So he said, I can't DJ with these decks because I don't know what they're supposed to be. He said, so I need to buy a controller. So I sent him some info and said, this is the control you want. He said, I really appreciate it. He said, because I'm not a DJ. I've been given this equipment. I want to do this kid's party. And he sent me a picture of what it looked like. And I said, right, so you need a couple of poles, you need this, that, and the other, just separate it out of it, because it was like a box, like this, 4 speakers. But he was really appreciative of it because he got stuck at a point and couldn't go any further. So if we can help in any way, if we can guide in any way, or we can be supportive, Gary's a guest, but I'm rapidly thinking that he may become the co-host of this show. Then by all means, you can drop us an email. If you watch on YouTube or you listen on, it's hello@insiderdj.com. So hello@insiderdj.com, and we'll always help you. Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter if you love us, great. Tell us. If you hate us, if you think we're dickheads, whatever. Doesn't matter. But
if you think what we're saying isn't right, by all means,
absolutely, feel free to disagree.
Every day's a school day.
If you think there's something sorry, mate, yeah. If you think there's something we should be talking about as well, and we are going to do a whole mental health thing as well about DJs and about what it's like to because Gary and I work at the holiday camp that we should mention, and it can get quite lonely, and we know certain DJs have had issues with loneliness and been on the road, and obviously we're aware of what happened to Avicii and that kind of thing. And just there is, from massive superstar DJs down to the dude that's working in the local pub, it's a consistent line through there. You're on your own.
Yeah.
You can't take your missus with you to every gig. In some circumstances, it's probably a good thing. But you can't take everybody with you. You can't take a crew. You are loading that gear on your own. You pick your bag up on your own, and it's you. You're the one. So from being that DJ to getting in the car on your own at 12:30 at night when it's dark in the back of a car park, they're things that you've got to consider. So
you've had 2,000 people jumping up and down to every tune that you pick.
Yeah.
And then suddenly one person at the embouchure, like we talked earlier.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, I'm not saying feel sorry for us, but the highs are very, very high and the lows are very, very low. And between the highs and the lows is instantaneous.
Yeah.
It can be so quick. So yeah, I mean, that's one thing that I'm very mindful of. And the thing is, as I say, it's one of those things where DJing, it's a lot of ego in the DJ world. There's not as much as there was, but there is still a lot of ego in the DJ world. And in mental health in general, people don't talk about the stuff.
Yeah.
And if we can help people talk about it, people realize that it's okay to talk. That's what it's about. When you first suggested the idea of this podcast, that was the first thing I mentioned, if you remember rightly.
Yeah, that's right.
The mental health side of it is really, really serious.
It is a thing that I don't think I had we have a mutual disc jockey friend, female one, and she said to me she doesn't know what to do when she's not on. She doesn't know what to do with herself. She's very personable, she's very chatty, very smiley, but she does the low bit really low.
Yeah.
And she said, I've never had this circumstance before. I don't know what to do. Yeah. And I sat with her and had a drink, had some food, and just chatted. This is what happens.
That's the thing with the holiday camps. Obviously, I'm not going to talk figures and stuff, but I could earn more money doing an all-day wedding rather than doing a whole weekend, or doing a couple of gigs rather than doing a whole weekend. The thing I like the most about them, obviously, I love the performance, because that's my passion. I love entertaining people. Hopefully, I do it well. I love doing that. The main thing I like about those events is you actually get to spend time with 4 or 5 other DJs.
Yeah.
Not necessarily a lot of time, because at certain of the venues, they work us very hard. You don't get that much downtime. But you get to have breakfast where you never get off for breakfast. But you get to have breakfast or dinner with most of them.
The last time I got off for breakfast, the heavens opened and there was a flood.
Well, there you go. There you go. It's all your fault. It's all your fault that the whole place is rusty. But I that's one of the main things I love about those, is that we actually get chance to have a little bit of a social. Before the whole 24-hour drinking fiasco, because it never worked. I know what the plan was, to spread it out, but it never worked. He just moved it till later. When we were doing pubs and clubs, when pubs finished at 11 and clubs finished at 2.
The good old days, baby.
Yeah, with the mobile guys or whatever, we'd go and we'd meet up. We'd go and meet up, or we'd go and, like, it used to be a cafe in Northampton called the Super Sausage. And you'd all go down there, you'd all meet up there, and it went on all night, and you sit and have a social, you sit and have a chat about it. Whereas now, people are working all the time, people are all over the place. You never get to spend time, it's not like on a I say normal job. Somebody doing a 9 to 5, you go for a pint on a Thursday night, Friday night after you finish work. You get to have a moan about the bosses. We don't get that. I'm not feeling sorry, because there's lots of things that are advantageous to our career.
Yeah, absolutely. The opportunities arise out of doing what we do. And some people, I know a DJ that that is now not a DJ anymore, and now lives in California. And he took an opportunity and it paid off, like, massively. And he was the most unassuming DJ you've ever met in your life. And you wouldn't have thought that he would have even taken a chance of leaving his house, let alone doing something different. Now he lives in California, making a lot of money, drives a nice car, and never going to look back. Take the opportunities. I went to BCM in Magaluf because I was there for 2003 because I took an opportunity. Somebody asked me one question and said, "Would you come?" I said, "Show me where the airport is." And I was frightened. That 24 hours was the most loneliest and most frightening experience ever, until I opened the fader the following night and went bang.
Yeah.
I was like, this is just brilliant. But if I hadn't have taken that step and that chance, then, nobody would have ever known. Anyway, listen, I'm going to wrap this up, man, because we could, like I said to you, we could talk about this stuff forever. But listen, thank you so much for coming on, mate. It's
My
really,
pleasure.
really, I really appreciate it. And we'll both sign off together, because I got nothing else I want to add until the next episode. So listen, guys.
An absolute pleasure.
No, you're welcome, mate. You're welcome. You're welcome anytime. So listen, thank you so much. Inside the DJ episodes will continue. We're back on it now. And the next one will be maybe Gary will come on again. You coming on again?
I'll come on again. Why not?
Beautiful. We'll get.
Let's do it. Let's do a co-host thing, and then we'll occasionally get someone else in if we want to let them join in.
Yeah, let's do that. And I know exactly who I want to invite on the next episode. So I'll chat with you about that a little bit later on. But
okay.
Thank you so much, everybody. And we'll be back in the next episode, which is, if you're listening to it on a podcast, it's coming up in a minute. See you soon.
Awesome. Take care. Bye-bye.